Today on Slant Daily Garage, we're going to take this and we're going to put springs on it, take off all the other stuff, and get this thing ready so that way it can go into the green car so I can get the head that's on the green car off and get started on Plan Z 2.0. Got to get ready for 6 Smokies. So I got the head up, got all the valves out. And someone mentioned that they wanted to see a little bit more hackery on Slant Daily Garage. Not really hackery, but, get it done mentality type of deal. So this head was built by someone else. I have no idea. So I took the valves out and noticed that they were not back cut at all. So there's a nice little flange right there. You can see it right there. And I know that just doing a little bit of cleanup work and then back cutting the valves nets you the biggest gain for the lowest amount of work. So what I tend to do is I will get some of this extra fine compound. I'll run a little bit of extra fine compound on these, and that gives me a pattern. That way I have a pattern on the valve. Once I have a pattern on the valve, I'll know exactly where I can go. You want to see hackery? I've got hackery. How about this? So then what I do is I cut the back cut on that, and how I do that is I take a little Mr. Valve here, bring it on over here to drill press. What I do is I got a little sleeve. I'll put a sleeve on it. So here's the setup. Runs nice and true. I'm not going to do this with one hand. But basically, I rest the edge right here, and then just basically go right on down like that onto it. It works awesome. So yeah, that's essentially what I do. I get this all in there and done. You can see on those how I just got like a little tiny black line on those. So I'm going through and doing that. Then I'm going to be changing valves, putting some new valve guide seals in it, cleaning up this, and I'm going to send this one down the road. This is going to go on the Lizard King. I'm going to pull the engine out. I got a cam going into it. The big thing for this is because I'm going to put hydraulic lifters on it. Here's another little tech tip. If you're going to be doing some grinding, get your shop vac, get a little hose clamp it on there. That way when you're grinding or you're cutting, it pulls all the cuttings right out of there. It puts a nice little vacuum on this. And I'm not trying to go crazy in here. All I'm trying to do is just take off the flashing that's in there. And then I'm going to come in with a roll from the other side. And then I'll just put the vacuum here and just clean up this little area. All I'm trying to do is just get the flashing off. Once again, I'm not trying to port this. This is going to be a street thing. But just back cutting the valves and doing this right here, you gain 10 to 15 CFM. That's good enough for me for what I'm doing. So the goal is to run hydraulic lifters on this non-lifter head. Pretty simple. You got a couple problems though. The hole in there is not big enough. This is the bolt for a hydraulic style. It's got a different shaft on it. This is the style of bolt that comes with it. So on this head, because this is a saw lifter, it's got a 3/8 style instead of this 5/16 or 1/4 inch or whatever it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill out that hole on the shaft. Then I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to turn down just the center shaft right in here, right in this area, to this diameter or a little smaller. But I'm going to make that hole down in there much bigger on the bottom to pick it up. And then I'm going to drill out these holes. And you'll understand why later, because it's going to be a whole setup. And then I got these DLC lifters here that are prototypes. And these are the ones that are going to go in this engine. So that's the whole point of me doing this. So this was a running head, and we're going to keep on moving on from here. So what I'm going to do is I drilled this out to 1/2 inch only on one side, kept this stock size. This is the underneath side. Then in here, I'm going to drill this out to 1/2 inch. And then that hole right there, I'm going to increase the size of that hole that goes down there and down there. The biggest problem with these is bleed down and then getting oil back up to it. I'm going to backfeed the oil to the block right here from the pump. Actually on the block. So you'll see that modification. So I'm going to run a bunch of oil up here so I can try to combat that problem and I'm trying to get this thing to flow really, really, really well. So I have the hole drilled. So that's to 1/2 inch, and that one's 1/2 inch on that side. So this is going to be my custom lathe. I'm going to turn this and then use this to grind that down. I'll grind it down to 300 thousandths like the other bolt, and 315, and call it good. There you have it. Nice little turn down bolt. And when you put it through here, got plenty of room. Plenty of room. So I got this to 1/2 inch. I drilled that out. And this right now is 5/16. And then the other one that goes in that one. So this one goes this way, and this one goes that way into that passageway there. And that's where they go back and forth. So the shaft here is 390 thousandths on these, which comes out to the area of 119.4 inches squared. 1/2 inch comes out to 196.3 inches squared. So that is a difference of, that's the area around it. And 5/16 comes out to that. So we're good. So that should be sufficient. And we should have plenty of oil getting up here, because I want these things not to clack and just clatter for a long time while it's starting up. I want it to be decent right off the bat. Why I love having so many parts around is because I get to try things. So I'm going to try to put a little groove in those things to help keep the lifter full of oil. So yeah, I just put a tiny little groove in there, and just, I mean, that's very tiny. This is, as the rocker goes down, it's going to go this way, but I also put a little back here because there's a little bit of slack. I notice that the shaft will kind of move back and forth like that. So just in case it's not aligned exactly perfect, I get a little bit of slack back there. If it works, awesome. If it doesn't, I've got another shaft I can use. So yep, we're going to try that. Now the cylinder head is fresh out of the Slant Daily Garage machine shop, all put together, ready to go. Got the parts back there ready to go in. As far as the rocker arms are all assembled. Custom bolts for running these. These are experimental. These are some of the very first prototypes of the DLC flat tappet hydraulic lifters for Mopar. And we're going to run those in a Slant Six. Now there's an inherent problem by doing that. Slant Sixes, these are designed to oil around here and then the oil go up. Slant Sixes, however, as you've noticed throughout this video, they oil from the rocker arm down to the push rod. So we're going to have to take out something. So here is one taken apart. This is the actual lifter body, a spring that goes in the bottom, the actual plunger that moves up and down, a wafer. This is your basic oil control valve. That way it controls the oil going up through the push rod, going up to your rocker arm on most engines. So this way you can see that I'm just going to take this one apart. I took the spring out already. Well, actually, I got to get Mr. Tool, because the bottom is essentially the hydraulic part. Well, I can't do it one-handed. So anyways, the part that's actually the hydraulic part is down there in the bottom with your spring. And even if you put the spring down in there, did it fit? Yep, there it goes. This, if you notice, watch, when you put it down here, basically it plunges. And what's happening here is that this hole here, right there, that's your high pressure hole that comes in on normal engines. Then it lines up with that hole and then fills up this chamber inside here, which then is what feeds up to the engine, right? This, I'm sorry, feeds up to the rock arms. The bottom of this, however, is where the hydraulic lifter part happens, is right here. So how I'm going to get this to work for a Slant Six is I'm essentially going to take this wafer out. Since I want as much oil as I can to come down through this push rod and fill this up. So it's going to go right through this. Right here is the seat. It's going to go right through that. It's going to go basically into this chamber here. And on the bottom down here, you have a little check ball right there. And then the oil bleeds around the body and gets down into here, plus also to the check ball on the bottom, keeps it So that way it fills up in there, and that's basically, this right here is what controls bleed down, right here, this little ball down here at the bottom there. So, yeah, obviously, these are 100% DLC coated, so I'm going to start taking these apart, taking this wafer out right here. And how I'm going to set these up is exactly how I set up literally all mine. I normally do 20 off the bottom. I think on this one, I'm going to go 50 off the bottom because there is a lot of movement in this. This is the reason why. You can look in there as it goes through Shane's Slant Daily Garage Machine Shop. They're not all lined up, but that's why we have, you know, adjustable rockers. And if we're going to be doing hydraulic, that's the reason why we're going to be doing hydraulics. So these are probably going to be more like, I said 50, more like probably 70 off the bottom. I devised a little experiment here really quick. There's nothing in there. You can see that that has just been poured out. There's no trickery here, nothing trickery there. So you put this in here, all right? Put Mr. Cap on. So there's nothing that basically, that is just a spring. That is just a spring from that being set in there. So make sure that that's all straight again. Yep, spring's still straight. Nothing, no trickery. So then if you take that and put this on here, and I'm going to try to do this one-handed, and so that way you can still see. That's the lifter bottoming out, okay? Now all I'm going to do is just take that out. And remember, we're putting high pressure oil straight down this slot right here. So we're going to put a little oil in here. So the oil is going to go straight down. The oil is going to go straight down that hole because remember, we're going to be feeding that thing. So what you just felt, and then remember, it doesn't matter if high pressure oil comes in from the side or from the top, because remember, we took the wafer out. So now the wafer is not the check anymore. The actual lifter itself is going to be the check because the oil is going to come out in the center. So that's going to create the pressure in the lifter. So now watch. If you just give it a few pumps, as it pumps up, now I can't hit the bottom. I can't hit the bottom. I can't even barely move that thing at all. So as it just goes up, that little check ball starts to pressure up, and that is how a hydraulic lifter works, is that as it gets oil in there, it fills up the bottom, gives a little bit of cushion. But remember, we just put a tiny little cap in there. We're going to be sending a bunch of high pressure oil. That was just temperature, just room temperature oil going in there, and no volume. So as you're putting a ton of volume in there, it's going to be under pressure going into this. So yeah, this is going to be just fine. So as a quick wrap up, cylinder head's back together. Everything's put together. All the lifters are ready to go. So that way we can check them all out. So coming up soon, we'll be putting a camshaft in this thing. And I'll have the car right in here. This will be gone. And we're going to put this thing in. And we're going to get this going. All right, until then, take it easy. Peace.